Calling to order the Friday, November 16th, 2018 work session of the City Council, the City staff. Is there a motion to, or Annette, please call roll.
Baker?
Here.
Blanchard?
Here.
Yes, Dean, here.
Gavin?
Here.
Pennon?
Here.
Stedman? Here. And Turbrack?
Here.
Thank you.
I'm not in the right seats.
Right.
Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Mayor Pro Tem.
Support.
Or any additions, corrections? Seeing none, Ms. Boucher, please call roll.
Blanchard?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Gavin?
Yes.
Pennon?
Yes.
Stedman? Baker?
Yes.
And Turbrack?
Yes. Please stand for the pledge.
Outside.
All right, we'll go this way. Go that way. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, we'll open it up to citizens' comments. Seeing no citizens commenting, we will close citizens' comments and move on to our order of business today. Before we get into item number one, I want to thank everybody for being here, especially folks who had to take some time out. Everybody's taking time away from their department today to be here. It's not always the most exciting thing to think about, a full day session on goals, but it is incredibly important to what we want to do as we look to 2019, reflecting on what happened in 2018, the good, the bad, and other, and make sure that we have a very clear vision that we're going to move into in the next year. And with that in mind, we have a pretty packed agenda today. I am going to, we're already a couple minutes behind, but I'm going to do my best to keep us on track with the agenda. I'll try to give a 5-minute warning. We're getting close to the end and we need to move on because there are some of these topics that I know we can probably spend more time on than others, but we want to make sure that we give ourselves some time to address all of these issues today as they're all important to the city of Berkeley. So I am the appointed bad guy. If you're running on too long, I'm going to have to bring it down a little bit and say, okay, thank you. We got to move on though, to try to keep us on task. With that in mind, we are 8 minutes in already, which puts us right back on schedule. We have 10 minutes for this. To open it. So good. Got us back on, and with that, we are going to jump right into item number one. Ms. Boucher, would you please read item number one on today's agenda?
2019 goals, resident satisfaction.
Do I need motions to approve on this? It's a work session. Can we just go? All right. Mayor Pro Tem, you are going to take the lead on this.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for your time today and for this next segment in particular. I got in late last night. As you can tell, I brought the sunny California weather with me. So glad to have done my little part. I'm just kidding. So as we know, setting goals is an important part of what council and this combined team is here to do. To understand the needs and objectives of our city, our residents, our businesses, our neighbors, and together to be able to identify what can we do to accomplish the goals and objectives we set for ourselves. To help us get started here, we have a couple of things to work with, and then we'll get into a brief little exercise where I'll ask folks to do a little bit of homework, and then we'll come back and talk about it, and we'll use our time here well. So for those of you that have these little packet things, the first page is the agenda, the second page is like a divider, notey type thing. The third page lists our vision statements. You might recognize this vision. For those that don't have it, it's on the budget book and all that kind of good stuff. I wanted to take just a moment to remind ourselves of the core values, and we'll take a few minutes and focus on the goals on the next page. But first, again, as a city, Our vision is that Berkeley is a brilliant, progressive city, known for friendly neighborhoods, quality lifestyle, and inclusive community experience. Our schools are nationally recognized, our businesses are distinctive, and our services are exemplary. It's our vision. Our core values: integrity, accountability, service, communication, collaboration, and teamwork. All right, those good. There's lots of cool words in there. We can spend time processing that, but I think hopefully we understand how awesome that is. Our core values there. Thank you. Okay, so that's a little bit of context about our vision for the city and again our anchoring core values here that bring us together as a community. Any questions about these? Initial reactions, comments?
How many of you are familiar with our vision? Just out of curiosity, aside from seeing it from time to time. I think a lot of folks know that we have a vision, but I don't know that it's something that, and it's not just in Berkeley. I mean, I think this happens across the board. Companies spend a lot of time crafting a mission statement, a vision statement. They do it for a couple days, and then maybe they post them a few places, but they don't really take that into heart as they're moving through the rest of their career every day. I don't want to be one of those places that just has a vision statement to have a vision statement. One part of what we're talking about this today, is this still accurate? I mean, is this a true representation of what we want to be in the city of Berkeley, what we're striving to be? And if it isn't, then we need to have a conversation about what should or shouldn't be in there. And the same with your core values. Your mission statement, your vision statement is typically driven from your core values. So as Mayor Pro Tem just went through it and mentioned each of those, are those accurate still? Are there those things that we really do believe in the city and we want to make sure that we're espousing in everything that we do and how we communicate with residents, how we can conduct our business, whether it's in meetings, whether it's during the day? Those are the things that we kind of want to focus on and spend a couple minutes on.
That's great, thank you. Comments, feedback on this. So we have the, let's look at the mission statement here. Cover that briefly again, and then get a little bit of reaction to what we see, just to, if nothing else, to affirm. The mission for the city of Berkeley is to provide residents and the business community with exemplary municipal services in an efficient, courteous manner, and to enhance the quality of life through visionary leadership and fiscal responsibility. Reactions, thoughts on that? We still got 40 minutes, so love to hear from somebody.
Okay,
Bridget.
so in first hearing this and looking at this, I would agree that we do that. I think that the services that we provide as a city really are exemplary. Every department that I've come into contact with, and certainly mostly Parks and Rec because I'm a liaison, but I think, Teresa, you and your team do an amazing job. And I could say the same thing about other departments in the city. My gosh, Derek, I mean, we're not even gonna start with all the things that you guys do that people don't even know you're doing. I think that we all do aspire to be courteous. I think that, and the fiscal responsibility, I don't think I was ever more aware of that than sitting down at my first budget work session. I always had a sense that the city and the council were working responsibly. Just as a citizen, this is prior to my seat here on council, but just from different things that I would read and different things that I would follow. But now actually sitting down and looking at it and seeing it and how everything has been so well documented and planned out and accounted for, I really do believe that as a body, this group believes in fiscal responsibility and endeavors to that goal. So those are my initial thoughts on that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
There.
I think it's important, these are in the budget book that, we do go through, a few times a year, but I mean, I just think even this mission statement in itself is something that, to read this again is for me, it's more, I want to get this up somewhere. I want to see this more often, frankly. Not just me, but all the members of my team. I think that statement right there, to be able to look at that every day even, I mean, you know what I mean? It just helps to think about these sort of things more regularly, and I think that's something that I'm going to kind of look to do is, how can I get this message out in a couple places, even at my facility? And that may mean something on the wall, it may mean we talk about it as a group, whatever it may mean, but I think it's something that I could revisit with my team a heck of a lot more often.
Cool. Thank you, and as, just as a quick comment to it, part of the lunch activities, we're gonna have a tattooist coming in too. You know, we have several fine shops here in the city.
Where I work, we have quarterly all-hands meeting, and it has always ended with the CEO going over, we call them our core pillars, and addressing at least a couple of them of how we have been achieving that goal, or what we are going to do to start achieving that goal. So I don't know if we have Dan do that quarterly for us to the whole city, but something along those lines where it's just a regular part of when you have everyone together that you go over it.
That's awesome. It's something we can think about. This type of session, which used to be annual, and we'll see what kind of a rhythm we get into with this. But department meetings, Derek, as you said, opportunities to share the vision and mission with, and remind our employees and ourselves of how we see our role in making this community even greater. And then as a coordinated body, maybe there's ways that we can value on that too. Bridget?
So I just, it made me think of something listening to the input thus far. My son went to U of D Jesuit High School, and every day at 1:15 or 1:10, they do something called the Examine as a community. Like, I don't know if a bell rang or what, but everything stopped, and they reflect on how am I, basically they're reflecting on their relationship with God, and how is it manifested in my life, with my peers, in my school community, in my family, in the bigger community. And it just made me think of that when we just talked about reflecting on the vision and the mission and our core values. And I'm not suggesting that everybody sets their phone to ding at a certain time every day, but it made me think of the Examine, because it keeps it right here. It keeps it in your mind and in your heart. And I think that whatever's in your mind and your heart is the place where you begin. And then it directs your activities throughout the day, whether it's in your family or your work, or in our work on council, or in the community, or anything like that. So maybe even on everybody's own individual scale, and in whatever works for you, we make some kind of commitment to reading these over periodically. And I like adding it into department meetings and any meeting that we have. But I think as individuals, I propose that we incorporate these into our lives on a more regular basis. So, because for me, if this is always in my forefront, I'm gonna start from the right place, or the place that I want to begin from. So, okay.
That's
there.
cool. No, that's awesome. Yes, I think about some of the simple ways we could do this, kind of back to Derek's point about how to help ensure this is visible. Maybe little things like make a little bookmark or something that has the mission statement on
Sure.
one side and the vision and principles or core values on the other side, or something like that. We could think about that as an activity for.
And there's always the tattoos.
And the tattoos. I'm all for that. Matt, please.
I was just going to say that where I came from, we had our mission statement all over the building. When you pulled in the celly part of the prisoner, it was on right in front of you. And roll calls right in front of you in the room.
Nice.
And it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to put it in some of the public rooms too.
Sure.
Cool. Maybe we can take as a to-do to form some kind of a thoughtful approach, either citywide or for the departments to help make this visible and keep it present. Not just having something hung on the wall, but how to engage with it, right? To Derek's point and to Bridget's point. It's one thing to have a piece of paper on the wall. It's another thing to understand what it means and how to have a conversation about it. So that could be an action item for us to think about as well.
One of the things that's important to me, in my office is the same way. We walk in, it's plastered on the walls. I mean, it's in giant font. You walk into our meeting room, you see our core values up there, you see our vision, you see all the things that are important to us. But one of the things this is our identity. So it's our identity when we're planning, when we're engaging with residents, with anybody that works for the city, and it has to be our identity with the residents as well. The residents it shouldn't be a secret. This is what we're striving to do. And it has to guide all of our interactions. One of the things I just wanted to take couple minutes, looking at the clock to think about here. When you look at our core values, because the core values are what going to drive your mission and your vision. You kind of got to start with there. But what's important to us? Does anybody have any problems, or not necessarily problems, or potential additional values or values that they would want to maybe swap out of here? I have one in particular. And it's not to say that integrity, accountability, service, communication, collaboration, and teamwork aren't great, although I think teamwork and collaboration might be a little potentially redundant. But one thing that's important to me, and that I hear everybody say, and that I know I say, and I've heard council say, and every department staff and every employee here say, one of the things that's important to us is community. And we mention community a lot. We want it to be a vibrant community, progressive city. I don't know why community is not one of our core values. To me, I think it should be. And I'm just, I guess, looking for feedback on whether that or there's something else that we think maybe should or shouldn't get in here.
So
Before we move on.
I think that would be a very worthy addition, community.
I too like the idea of maybe finding a way to merge, not to do it now, but the
Right.
idea to merge, collaborate, teamwork, think about community, and then also, and maybe this works in with one of the others, but you know, as Aretha used to sing, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. It might be a cool thing to find a way to work into here as well.
Yeah. I think we can make
Yeah, and I think when reading through these, the theme is sort of woven into all of these, and I think actually having it right up front stated, maybe adding one of transparency. So I think that obviously in the day-to-day work for all the departments, it's done head and shoulders above most others. So I think that actually stating that as a core value, especially since it's something that each of the departments day in and day out is already doing, and it's a reflection for the residents as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Any suggestions, department heads, anything that, I mean, you guys are the front lines. Anything else that might want to fit in there based on what you guys do every day and what's important to you guys?
So there's transparency, community, respect, and then find a way to merge, collaborate, teamwork.
I think we can.
Yeah, there's a way to
Accountability
kind
and
of-
respect and or transparency.
Accountability, something like that, yeah. Cool. All right, thank you. So we've got about 30 minutes scheduled left for this segment here. And what I wanted to shift to a little bit is to take a look ahead now. Now that we've had a chance to level set, kind of reconnect with some of our founding statements and declarations here, to take a look ahead to 2019 a little bit and see, given this framework, this context, what kinds of things do we want to accomplish as a council and as a leadership team for our community in 2019? So there's a worksheet that's coming around. Let me give one to my colleagues here. Hopefully everybody can see one of these and take it around here. What we're going to do is take a couple of minutes. We'll keep an eye on the clock here for you, and fill this out, and then I'll ask each to share a little bit of your thoughts on this. So there's two main sections to this. There's a headline where you can write down a thought, and then a scoring system. We'll do the scoring in a minute. But first I want us to think about, so we're looking ahead to 2019. You guys know from your department's perspective, those of us on council know from the overall vision and from our outreach with the residents and businesses, some of the things that we must do in 2019. And it's okay to say we must continue to, because there's a lot of great things that are happening. So this doesn't have to be something that's brand new, although it could be, if there's something that you're thinking of. So the must columns, there's headlines, and there's little spots in there that are kind of shaded, where you can write in just a quick headline of something of what you think we must do in your department or as a city. Then there's a should column, same kind of thing. This is a high priority, but if we don't do it, the city will still survive. But it would be a really important thing for us to do in the should column. Okay, and then on the back, there's a could. It's like, boy, if we had some extra time, we had a little bit extra opportunity here, we could also do this thing. This might be something way out there, way out in our imagination that we're not sure is really feasible. Boy, wouldn't it be great if we could, ... do something like that, and we could. And it's always important to understand what we do not want to do. something that we say, it would be bad for us to do this. This is something that we don't want to do. We want to avoid, or we want to resist, or we want to not do. So that's what this fourth column is, won't. We want to don't do these. It's important. So what we'll do is we'll take 5 minutes just for the first page, the musts and the shoulds, and we'll pause and check in, and then we'll do another 5 minutes on the back, and then we'll talk about some scoring and stuff like that. So what I want you to think about again is on the musts and the shoulds. These are things that we must do, must add, must continue for the city, for your departments, for our residents, and for our community. Musts and shoulds. We'll check back in 5 minutes, and then we'll flip it over and talk on the other side. How about that? Okay.
For the department heads, certainly, I know they can be general, but these are, I want to know what your department must and should, because those are the things that council needs to know to help us to make informed decisions.
Okay, musts and shoulds, 4.5 minutes. Ish. Hard to believe we're at about the 2-minute warning. Just things that come to mind, pop them in there. This is a brainstorming tool. You must think more about it. Okay, I see some of us are kind of looking around a little bit. If you have a thought, go ahead and finish capturing that item on there. And what we'll do now is continue the brainstorming, and then we'll do some scoring, and then we'll do some sharing. That's kind of the next couple of steps here. So on the brainstorming side, as you are able, turn over the page. If you need any help, let me know. Columns 3 and 4. So the could, so this is the, yeah, see, it's tricky, isn't it? It is. I need an SWI for that. The could, so this is the wild pie in the sky kind of stuff. Boy, if only we could do this, right? This is some real amazing things. If we could only do that, or if we had the resources, we could do this, right? So the could, column 3 is kind of the wild and crazy, way out there, transformative type of thing. And column 4 is the stuff that we don't want to do. This would set us back. These are things that could hurt us as a department or as a city. It's important to capture that too, because as we try to do the positive things, there could be unintended consequences, which this fourth column can try to help mitigate. All right, so the coulds are the wild and crazy fun stuff that could really help us. The won'ts are things that could set us back or jeopardize the departments or the safety of our employees or our residents. So let's jot those down too. So another 5 minutes, coulds and won'ts, okay? In the course of working on columns 3 and 4, you think of some more stuff for 1 and 2, of course, feel free to add those as you see fit as well.
Steve,
Yes, hi.
could you just talk to me about the could column?
Yeah, so the coulds are like the wild and crazy. Wouldn't it be great if, or boy, if only we could, do this big thing, right? Because we always have limited resources
Sure.
and things, and so it's helpful still to understand what the vision might be for something crazy, because we may or may not be actually able to realize it in its fruition, but we can take some steps towards that path.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, 2-minute warning. 2 minutes. have any final thoughts, feel free to capture those on the column as you see fit. So we've done a fair amount of writing here. Hopefully you've had a chance to think things through a little bit, looking back at our mission, our vision, and our core values here. Get a chance to think about some of the things that we absolutely must either add or continue to do, that kind of stuff. Talked about some of the things that we should do, that are high priority for us. We also looked at some wild things that would really make some amazing progress, and we identified some risks or some concerns that we want to make sure that we don't inadvertently bring about. Next is time to prioritize these a little bit. So what we'll do, you see some subsequent columns here, REBFT. So I didn't quite spell it right according to Aretha, but you kind of get the hint there. The R stands for residents, the E is employees, the B is businesses, F is feasibility, how doable is something, and a T is the total. So for each of the items that you've listed, just quick, right, this is just your gut check on these things. Rank each one from 1 to 10, the benefit that it would bring to the residents, the benefit that it would bring to employees, the benefit that it would bring to businesses, and then the feasibility, the doability of it, again from 1 to 10. So if you think that something is about new uniforms for the department or something, right, that's probably a low on the residents, it's probably a high on the employees, it's probably a low on the business, it's probably high in the feasibility. Does that make sense? And then add it all up. If you give each one a 10, then you'd have a total score of 40. And if you give each thing a 0, I think the total score would be 0. See, that's the best I can do with public math. But so you get the idea here. So we'll take 2 minutes, just give you a chance to add up the stuff on the first page, and then we'll flip over to the second page. And then where we go from here is I'll ask you to report out on 1 or 2 of the things that got your highest scores. All right? So add it up, and then we'll get a chance to debrief on that. Another minute or so, and if you're done with the first page, of course, feel free to flip over to the second page. Hopefully you're on the second page by now. others, if you still need some time after that, that's cool. We can start with whoever's faster at math than I am. Yeah.
I'm gonna take off my shoes.
I know. Trade the one. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for taking a few minutes to think about some things that you want to see in the city and things that you want to make sure that we don't. Hey, Matt, how are you? That's all right. Glad you're here. Brought open the doctor. You still have your name tag on too. So cool. All right. So according to the clock, we have about 10 minutes left, unless we want to borrow a little bit from the next segments. What I thought we'd do in our final waiting moments here is share a thought or two from what you just discovered or uncovered, as the case may be. Something that you're very passionate about that you want to share with the rest of the group. Something that you were surprised about, that you didn't know would be something that's as important as it is, based on how your numbers worked out or whatever. Something that you'd like to share with someone else because maybe you have an idea for a different team or a department that might be helpful. So I think it's just an opportunity to highlight one or two of the things that are on your list that got a higher score. With your permission, we'll collect these when we're all done here at the end of the day, just in case that you have more thoughts, you can keep writing them on here. And then we use this as a next step for the team to see what other kinds of things we can do, right? Because even if you just share one idea now, we've got a whole page full of cool stuff that can help the city move forward. All right, so we'll keep this throughout the day.
Because here you'd like to hear at least one must from each department. So what is one must that we need to do before? Who wants to start?
Legit.
So, under my must headline, in light of the goals and the mission statement and our core values, the community center came to my mind. Because I think that if we're going to move forward in the spirit of our values and our mission and all of that, I think that not only do we need this community center, but I think it's an opportunity to truly put all of those things that we believe into practice. We know I'm hoping this is like what you're looking for, these kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody would say we don't need one. I think that the sticking point came in as to what we need. And so I think that bringing everybody to the table and working on finding our common ground and then working on compromising on different things is truly a priority, and it's an opportunity, I believe, to really put into practice the goals and the values and the mission that we just discussed. So that would be a high priority thing
Sure.
for me.
All right. In the interest of time, because I just kind of want to quickly kind of go through and just boom, say what that thing is.
I'm a
We're gonna
little
collect-
chatty. I mean, I don't know if anyone's noticed
I know,
that yet,
I'm
but
Good.
keeping an eye on the clock and I'm keeping an eye on what we have to do next, and I told you guys I was gonna have to be a jerk today. Very different than when I am normally.
A simple must for us is to work with the school district to allow use of Anderson for summer camp.
Thank you. Just move on down. Chief?
Being as open and approachable as a department and a city as possible.
Derek?
Must, game plan timetable for the road village, for the new roads, kind of setting our course. Stormwater task force, also important. DPW sort of middle management is gonna be something that we need to focus on with new projects, new undertakings, something that we really need to put some time to.
Okay, awesome. Sam?
Reestablish trust between residents and building department.
Okay. Matt?
Keeping capital projects funded for city departments, just so we can move forward and keep things maintained in good shape.
Okay. Annette, anything in your department?
New resident reception,
like it. Stan?
Improved communication and information access, not only for employees, but for residents.
Ginger?
I had addressed OPEB funding to 40%. And we have an update that.
All right, we'll get there in a minute.
Understand, we're getting closer.
Let's just quickly run down on the council side too. If there's one priority, if it hasn't been mentioned yet, a couple might have already been mentioned, but we already got Bridget, so Dennis?
I'm gonna say two.
Okay.
PC, ZBA, mandatory training in education, and bottom-up planning. And by that I mean, instead of taking our plans to the residents, gathering their input and then using that to develop plans.
Okay. Jack?
Emergency management training for employees.
You know,
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Ross, similar to Ginger's, aggressively fund OPEB and pensions, and then the other one would be promote. This, a lot of departments, all the departments do a lot of good things, and I think it's important to get that out there.
Okay. Steve?
I'll double down on the joint planning sessions, like these kind of things. We do these more often, quarterly check-ins or something. And I got a lot of feedback about the cable stuff, so maybe we could do some more with the cable channels.
Eileen?
Well, continue to improve communication, but I think what we need to do is to assess what residents need to feel communicated with, because evidently we're missing on that a little bit. And so we need to begin the process to assess what they consider communication.
Okay. Matt, did you have anything?
Stage of mind, I want to place more emphasis on internal communications amongst our employees so that our department heads and our line level staff are more updated on the global picture of what the city is doing.
Okay. I had a number that were already mentioned, but one of the musts that I'm going to kind of revisit is rebuilding trust with our residents. That's a lot of factors that we already talked about, but I think there's a lot more that we could do, but there's just a sense of, I don't trust what they're saying, I don't necessarily know if that's right, and then there's just a lot of questioning of things that I don't think there necessarily should be or needs to be, so we need to do a better job of rebuilding that trust with our residents. All right. Any final thoughts here?
That's good. So thanks. I think we came in about on time here with this. Thank you. I'd like you to each hang on to these throughout the day as additional thoughts occur throughout the segments to follow. Add to the list. Score them up along the way. And what we do want to do is collect these at the end of the day. So don't put them too far away, but just keep them throughout the day. And we'd like to hang on to these so that as a group we can use this as additional inputs to some of the more the detailed plans that we have, because there's probably many ideas that are shared on all these pages across all of us, and there's some gems in there that we didn't get a chance to highlight, obviously just hitting one thing, right? So,
yeah.
So thanks. Of course, so what you just experienced here, we normally do in a half-a-day workshop with post-it notes, and flip charts and breakout groups and all that kind of cool stuff. So we barely scratched the surface of this, but I did think it'd be important as a way to kind of get the juices flowing this morning, to reconnect with our founding statements here, and at least give you an opportunity to get the brain rolling about the kind of cool topics we're going to be talking about the rest of the day.
Yes, it is critical that we get these sheets again, because we didn't have time to necessarily go through everything. But this is what's going to, when we do sit back down and revisit these are going to be our top priorities. They're going to become, when we're looking at budget, we're looking at planning, capital projects. I mean, these are the things that are going to drive the conversations that we're all going to have in the future. So it's critical that we have these today. Thank you all for that and for being very efficient and timely.